Normal listening level. Second level thinking is defined as looking beyond the easy, obvious conclusions. You've got to do some smart thinking. Welcome to the second level. On SB Nation Radio.
And on SBNationRadio.com.
Where we go beyond the box score. Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Rocket Mortgage is with you every step of the way. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's your host, Eitan Shandor.
It looks like there's some end, or at least light at the end of the tunnel. We anticipate that the tunnel ends at some point. We're going to return to some sense of normalcy with sports, but the whole idea of when it would come back and who would be around it, maybe, just maybe, we'd get one of these big team sports to be the first. Adam Silver, I guess, is the lead candidate here if you were to lay out odds for which of the big four, big five, maybe if you want to extend it, team sports would be back first. But we get news the PGA Tour will return in June, of course, without fans. XFL, now this thing has gone from crazy to bizarre to just off the deep end now, as Vince McMahon wants to sell this thing to the highest bidder. So we'll create some odds on who would be the best. And you know what? It might not even be a person, if I can just lay a little tease out there. Story that came across just a couple of minutes ago for me. I don't know if you all out there saw this earlier, but anytime I get the whole Michael Jordan documentary, we want to see more MJ, but a lot of the anecdotes, a lot of the small stuff that comes out about Michael Jordan, it's not going to be seen so much in this big documentary. It'll be told via players that either were with him or played for him when he was an owner. So, or technically playing with the Wizards. I know a lot of people forget about those couple of years. Did drop 20 a night on one of those seasons. He played with former teammates Jared Jeffries, and this is one of the stories that popped out involving Antoine Walker as well. So they were in Chicago at a gym, and Walker pulls up in some Ferrari. I'm reading this quote verbatim, and he was just like, I got it, just got it. MJ looks over at Jeffries, says, you know what? I'm going to bring a different color Ferrari every day this week with a matching Jumpman jumpsuit. This is back, past Michael Jordan Bulls era. And Jeffrey says he pulled up in a Ferrari with a matching Jumpman jumpsuit for the whole 5 days we were playing. Antoine Walker, most famous for losing $108 million overnight. Now, add to that. That's a tough resume right there. PGA's back. We'll talk about that next. At Shandor Show, twitch.tv/Shandor Show is how you can watch. It's the second level.
Hey, Tom, why don't you turn up your mic just a little bit?
Got it. How's this? Check.
It could be better.
Even more?
It's no, keep it here. I'll talk to you in your ear if I need more.
Okay.
It's always hard to hear because right now I'm hearing you through just a small little mono speaker.
Right.
So it's hard. Okay. It's hard to tell until I get you on air. Then it's like, ooh.
Okay.
We got to turn that puppy up.
Yep. Did you text me?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. No. I just saw my phone lit up because it was dead. So I wanted to make sure. Yeah, so I gave it a little more jack. I can hear it on mine. I gave it a little more jack.
Yeah.
So
it sounds stronger.
Okay, cool.
But if I need more, I'll let you know.
They're changing rapidly every day. One thing that'll never change.
I got a little bit of a better mic, so it needs a little more power. So I did add the Phantom on it, but I should have jacked it up from where the other mic was. Because the headset mic doesn't need that.
No excuses exists for times like right now. We understand that hardships may arise, and we're prepared to help. If you currently work with us and need assistance with your mortgage, contact us 24/7 at rocketmortgage.com.
In this segment, probably before we break, could we play the Kirk Cousins audio?
I think right now is the right time.
Yeah, just call for it.
All right, awesome.
Home loan experts are available to help you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at rocketmortgage.com. Call for cost information and conditions.
See that Walker story? I promise you. Normally, I'll have time to listen to you guys. Although I don't know what happened. So why can't I get in on the regular line? Is somebody preventing that?
The company is called Surf Cities.
Oh, you mean on Comrex?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're using it on the local side.
Got it. Okay.
Plus, towards the end of your show, Matt likes to connect 30 minutes early, and he can only use Comrex.
Got it.
For whatever reason.
So I should just plan on the brick every time.
I would just plan on the brick every time.
Gotcha.
desperate for hand sanitizers. Without giving it a second thought, Surf City converted a massive still from creating craft bourbon
What's up,
to
Mike?
creating hundreds of gallons of FDA-approved hand
Appreciate you coming in,
sanitizer
man.
for first responders, hospitals, and others. If you live in California and you love craft bourbon, vodka,
I tell you,
gin,
you know,
or
the
rum,
most
and you
underrated
want to
show on the
support a
Food
American
Network
company,
is the
visit
Pioneer Woman.
SurfCityStillworks.com and enter radio for 20%.
Okay, that's the one that's she has blonde hair, right?
No,
And then
she's a little portly with red hair.
Okay.
She lives out on
Her
the
kitchen, like when you look out her kitchen window, it looks like she's out in the middle of nowhere.
yeah, like she's running a
Yeah, I
dude
think I
ranch.
know who you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly
Interested
right.
in what's happening?
It's the most underrated show, and I'll tell you why in a second.
Latest
Promise.
vehicles to vintage rides to tips on keeping your family safe on the road. Automotive.
You ever heard this game called 5 Second Rule?
Cars, trucks, and
Not the actual 5 second, like where you drop.
Not when you drop food,
No.
but you're talking about 5 second rule. Where you got to name like 3
Yes,
things in 5 seconds.
yes.
Yeah.
All right, so somebody gave me this card game, and I have them all in my hand. So what I was thinking of, like, going into those hard breaks, I could throw them at you, since we're all under pressure of time anyway.
Yeah.
All right. What's up, Trevor?
scratching beneath the surface. It's the second level on SB Nation Radio.
And on SBNationRadio.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Eitan Shander.
PGA Tour's back June 11th, according to reports. The Charles Schwab Challenge in Fort Worth, Texas, looks to be the first, if the date holds, of course, looks to be the first sporting event of note that we'll have outside of Dana White, and now I'm sure Vince McMahon trying to slide stuff under the table here and push whatever envelope is now open in Florida. The PGA looks to be one of the first big ones back, but it makes sense, does it not, that you would have something like this outdoors where it's really easy to maintain social distancing. And when you remove fans, you, unfortunately for people who work these events, I get it, but in the case what we're dealing with right now of global pandemic, when you remove fans, you also remove a lot of other essential personnel that are basically there for fans, to cater to fans or to prevent fans from doing stuff or to be around and basically be supportive of the fan base that's there, not emotionally like, it's okay, don't worry, we're going to win this game, or don't worry, your favorite golfer is going to sink this putt, but more so in the sense of just the capacity for an event like anything in a PGA Tour. It doesn't have to be a major, doesn't have to be something gigantic where you have top stars. This actually makes a lot of sense. And it does lead you down the road of, well, baseball played outdoors, and can you start looking at football stadiums outdoors? It's down the line. And the biggest thing that I think we should look at today is not trying to use this as any foundation, not trying to build this up into anything more than it truly is. The PGA Tour returning June 11th is good in a couple of areas. It doesn't mean that society is going to be back to normal by June 11th. It doesn't mean that sports are going to be back to normal. It doesn't mean that Major League Baseball is already going to be playing at that point, nor does it mean that the Brian Windhorst issued NBA 25-day plan is going to be in effect either. None of this means anything more than the PGA Tour, because of the logistics of the tour and the sport itself, are going to allow for open area and open play and to keep people distanced. Look, I was talking about it before we launched this show locally here in Philadelphia. It was a big topic of contention, right? Because it comes off, I understand it, right? Now, I don't know, Ron, we haven't talked about this before the show, so I'll ask you here point blank, put you on the spot, but you're great when you're on the spot. You're better when you're on the spot than when I feel like if I were to ask you something ahead of time and say, okay, I'm going to go back to that. So do you play golf, first and foremost? Second, if you do, how good are you?
All right, here's how I'll summarize this, right? Do I play golf? I have golf clubs. I have played golf in the past. I don't go out regularly because kids get in the way.
Yes, makes sense.
And here's my theory of why everyone plays golf is because we've all had that one shot that makes us believe that we could have been on the PGA Tour.
I agree. And you know what?
That's what keeps us coming back.
I had two of those, the final round that I played. And look, I hadn't had those probably about 10 years, but I had two of those in the final round I played before Governor Tom Wolf here in Pennsylvania shut everything down. But
You shut all your golf courses down.
everything. No, you get arrested.
10 years ago?
No, I'm saying 10 years ago was the last time I had a shot like that.
Oh, okay,
And then the
okay.
final round that I played up until they canceled everything this year during the pandemic.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
all right.
I
That
had
makes
two
a lot
of
more
them.
sense.
Look, I didn't know it.
Man,
Still, I didn't know it was
what kind of
coming.
footloose society are you living in where you can't play golf?
I'm telling you, man, Pennsylvania is not, especially Philadelphia, right? It borders Jersey. We already saw what was happening in Jersey. New York is the hot spot in this country, as is North Jersey. So Philadelphia, you look at that trickle down, and people were nervous, people were scared. But here's the thing. The PGA Tour, I think, actually helps people like me and others. And it's almost like a split of a group of people that look to say, look, we want to get back in golf, because I understand, I recognize that in the middle of a pandemic where unemployment is at a super high number, people are losing their jobs, people are uncertain about their families, people are uncertain about a lot of things, their health. They don't want to hear me or somebody else bitch and moan that the local golf course is closed, that I can't get out there and play golf. I do think, though, that there is some merit to what the PGA is doing and kind of circumventing around the typical, wow, you just want to go out and play your elitist sports, Shander or Phil Culver or anybody else out there. I think what's happened is, well, I don't have a problem with it, but I also recognize people in this current climate might have a problem. Sans pandemic, I'm okay shoving this down people's throats, saying, look, we all should be able to play golf. But to take it a step further, and before we launched this show locally, a couple of different doctors I had on, including one, Dr. Mike, who's been on this network with me on the weekend, TV and radio and a ton, actually operating, so he's on the front lines, but brought a couple of these different doctors on, and they all said, look, if you go out there and you don't go into a clubhouse, you don't talk to and touch anybody that, anything or anybody that works there, you go from clubs in your garage to your trunk to the actual course, you go out, you use the balls that you've brought, you use your tees that you've brought, you don't putt the ball into the cup, you don't go into the sand trap and use the rake, you don't touch anything. You don't even touch the people that you came with, right? You don't talk to anybody else. You go out there, you're playing in this huge open area. Yes, it's fine. You're okay. And just like tons of other things that have happened and people have gone back and said, no, we were wrong about that. I checked and made sure as this whole thing progressed, and I got the same answers. One of the doctors even said, look, I'm letting my kid play Little League because everything is sanitized. The balls are sanitized the whole time. The kids are separate. Nobody's next to each other. People aren't sitting next to each other on the bench. The only thing you worry about is the catcher, and even the catcher right now has been removed, and you just use the backstop. So at that point, I'm thinking, all right, well, golf makes sense. Now the PGA, I actually think this is a pretty good supporting argument here for the regulars, the yahoos like myself, who have been waiting for our governor in Pennsylvania or wherever you are around the country where it's not deemed essential. And I know Arizona and some areas in the northern part of the Midwest, but here in Pennsylvania, I'm thinking, well, any day now, Gov, any day since the PGA is back, I would think that there would be some sort of opening or reopening, if you will, of the local stuff. And maybe they just need to see how this thing plays out. But it's not going to look different. It's not going to look weird. We talked about this, right? What would be the biggest or most awkward sporting event or even event, if you will? Maybe it's the DNC or something even bigger without fans. This would be the opposite, isn't it? This is the complete 180, where if you go out and you were just sitting on your couch or you're going to your friend's house because everything's quarantined and you trust them, and you're watching the PGA event that's set to drop June 11th here, right? So the Charles Schwab Challenge in Fort Worth. No fans out there. Nobody out there at all in the gallery. Are you really going to notice it to that extent? You might if somebody mentions it, but a lot of the shots and a lot of the views that you see of somebody golfing or hitting a shot, hitting a putt even, a lot of that swinging the club drives a little bit different, but still the angles are easy. It's a seamless transition. I don't think you're going to see much of it at all. At Shander Show on Twitter, twitch.tv/Shander Show is how you can watch. Speaking of no fans, So the PGA's back, and I do think this is a great thing for sports. It's something that's manageable. It's not 500 people, essential personnel in an arena for a football game, nor is it trying to establish a 25, 28-mile radius in the greater Phoenix area. But if you were just looking at when sports return, as far as from the PGA June 11th through this fall, what we believe to be the NFL college football back. Just think about this for a second. And Ron and I can kind of look at this and build our own little roster here. But which professional athlete, it doesn't matter if it's an individual sport like golf, because look, we do have to factor in from an athlete standpoint, from a participant standpoint, not having fans makes a difference. Some people thrive off it, right? Reggie Miller on the road, that'd probably be a big difference for him. But think of it this way. Which professional athlete in any of the main sports, right? If you bring up somebody who's playing table tennis right now in Russia, I won't know him. Ron might, I won't, and it's just going to defeat the purpose.
You're giving me a lot of credit. Thank you.
I said might, all right, to be fair.
Yeah, that might's very, very small. That's about a no.
Okay, well, let's look at this. Who would be the odds-on favorite for a professional athlete that would truly benefit from not having fans? Like, and I mean home fans, not just on the road. It's a factor. It's definitely a factor on the road, but just overall, like which professional athlete would be the minus 500 odds-on favorite to be able to not only benefit, but actually like perform at a higher level? If you go around, and again, this is a deep question, you probably have to rack your brain. Don't worry, we've actually cheated and found what, at least I believe, right, to be, and I think you're on board too.
I think you're on board with that. But I got to say this: that he's not an athlete; he's a team owner. But I think James Dolan would benefit not having any fans in his arena.
Okay, hold on a second there, because we're going to have to place him. I have minus, I don't even know if the guy that I have right now, yes, we'll open it up to owners and front office people. Hell, you want to open up to Roger Goodell at the draft? I'm okay to that as well.
No, because, I mean, he's going to look weird without the booze.
Well, people are apparently giving out his address.
Does he need to come out and just mime booze anyways?
Well, can't you?
Like people are booing him at home, and he just kind of settles the crowd down, or makes that gesture of bring it on.
See, I'm going to guess that you haven't seen many of these TikTok videos where you can insert the crowd and the crowd noise like a dance party. LeBron James has done it. A couple of other.
I've seen that. So you're saying that Roger Goodell is going to get hacked?
Well, no. What I'm saying is Goodell himself could put one of those videos out, but instead of it being crowd going crazy and cheering, it would be a crowd booing. Or the NFL. Look, we're talking about the NFL. It's a multi-billion-dollar operation. You're telling me that they can't put a fake crowd and boo? We already know Goodell enjoys and invites the boo. He already has fun with it. So why wouldn't they put some sort of fake boo track instead of a laugh track?
The first one.
Yes.
I mean, the first time he comes out there where he just talks, and before he starts the draft, he gives that little, 2 to 5 minute speech.
Yes.
They should have a boo track lined up, because that's probably what his speech probably references that.
I would think so. All right. Let's listen to Kirk Cousins. I have him at minus 500. That's a strong odds-on favorite, but I might need to change at least my idea of who would be at the top after Ron's suggestion of James Dolan. But this is Cousins. I'm not playing with anybody in the stands.
Honestly, we practice every day in an empty, grass area. We pump in fake crowd noise for away games. But more often than not, you're used to, OTA practices don't have a lot of pomp and circumstance to them. So honestly, rather just play the game and kind of be refreshing, breath of fresh air to just know that, we don't have to have all the smoke and the fire. We can just go play football. So as long as we're playing the game, I don't have a lot of complaints. And hopefully, if it's still not returning normal, hopefully we can find a way to make it work.
It's so funny, isn't it? Isn't that hilarious, though? Like anybody else that says that. Drew Brees comes out and says that. Brady in Tampa, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, my guy Carson Wentz here. Anybody else who comes out and says that, right? It's looked at completely different.
If Drew Brees came out and said that, you would think humanitarian. He's thinking of the people.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're right. I would definitely not think.
Instantly.
Yes, I would definitely not think, oh my goodness, this guy inadvertently just admitted, based on his history, based on his crumbling in the prime time when the lights are on the brightest, he just admitted, probably not on purpose, that he's actually going to be better off without fans. Think of that at Shander Show, twitch.tv. Good stuff, man. I love that.
That'll echo too much when he's walking around the tunnel saying that or on the sidelines.
I wonder.
He needs the fan noise.
Well, the problem, though, is that we talked about simulating and piping in the crowd noise. You can't simulate the stuff that's said to him on the road.
But we're wrong.
There's another book. Okay, hold on.
No, we're wrong about Kirk Cousins.
All right, hold on.
I'll just say real quick.
Okay.
He will be booed by his own teammates.
Well, now you're adding another element that I didn't factor in, which is at some point the inevitable probably will strike, and Cousins will revert back to the pumpkin. At Shander Show, at Ron Culver, 2 N's, twitch.tv/Shander Show. Kirk Cousins, I have him as the odds-on favorite for the athlete, hell, front office member, right up to the owner, who would benefit the most without fans in the stadium, in the arena, in the building. Ron gave us James Dolan. Need to think about that. It's the second level.
Pushing the odds with Matt Peralt.
Nice. I didn't go too late, though, right?
I've ever been at you. No, you're fine.
Okay.
A paintball gun.
I'm just concerned. I don't want to know.
With the paintball gun? No, it's okay.
All right. What is too late? Like to where you would say, hey, we got a break.
Like around 27,
Okay.
28.
Okay. So we were pushing it, but we're fine.
No, we're there.
Good.
I'm just trying to scare you. No, too late. I mean, you want to try to get a segment in. I mean, you're going to get 6 minutes in this next one.
Okay.
It's a floating break for a reason. I mean, normally what makes Craig the happiest is if you get out like around 22 to 24. But sometimes that's impossible because you're on a roll. And he understands that.
Okay.
It's if you make a habit of always getting out at 27, if you always make a habit of getting out late, then that's when he'd probably speak up to me or you.
Okay. And to be fair, that second hour, we're aiming to get out at 22, 23 anyway. It's fake news, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that was interesting. She and I have had a long time at home.
Go on Snapchat.
No, you're not going on Snapchat.
Where you do kids?
You're 5 years old. You're not going on Snapchat. And you don't always go on Snapchat. Here you go. No, you don't. Your mother tends to let you go on Snapchat. I don't let you go on Snapchat. You're 5. Pushing the odds with Matt Peralt. Weekday afternoons from 1 to 4 Eastern on SB Nation Radio. SB Nation Tonight with John Michaels.
Did you see the latest on Kevin Durant where he said he played with a bunch of athletes, but not a bunch of guys that can shoot or play? Dude, Russell Westbrook and James Harden were on your team. I get it. Kendrick Perkins wasn't a very skilled big man. Pablo Cephalosha was a great defensive guy, and that's it. Don't do this 6, 7, 8 years later.
What's up, guys?
You sound like a can.
Don Collins in the house.
I thought it was soft as hell when he left, but to not be hypocritical, it is.
You guys have anything? Throw it up there on Twitch, and we'll read them out too. So if you have any suggestions, we gave you Kirk Cousins. Ron has James Dolan, so that's one to think about.
And whenever you're healthy again, you're now going to play again. I'll tell you, if I'm Russell Westbrook and I'm James Harden and I go against Kevin Durant, I'm putting the Slim Reaper on his rear end. Tell him, shut the hell up. You were part of the reason we couldn't get the job done.
SB Nation Tonight, weeknights until Eastern on SB Nation Radio.
Hey everybody, RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com, your home for the best Dallas Cowboys coverage on the web. And did you know that we have a podcast feed? The Blogging the Boys podcast feed has daily episodes breaking down the latest and greatest in the world of America's team. We have multiple shows, multiple analysts, including a Super Bowl winner, 2-time Super Bowl champion Tony Casillas is part of our rotation, and we want to make sure you are as well. We're available on Apple, Spotify, and wherever else you get your podcasts. So don't miss out. Subscribe to the Blogging the Boys podcast feed today.
You're listening to the second level on SB Nation Radio.
And on SBNationRadio.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quick and Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, with way more than the scores. Here's Eitan Shander.
Kirk Cousins admitting something he probably didn't mean to. And it got us thinking about which athlete, front office member, right up to an owner would benefit the most from not having any fans at all in the stadium, in the arena, at any games, individual or team sport. This, of course, on the heels of the PGA announcing they'll be back June 11th. And not only is this great for us as sports fans because we've been wanting something outside of just another UFC fight that we're told is going to happen, but not, or watching whatever the WWE now is putting out with almost echoes of flesh hitting flesh, no fans, nothing like that on Monday Night Raw and et cetera, now that they'll be able to fill in more properties in Florida. So another element that has been gone, and really, and I joked about the ping pong, table tennis over in Russia, but we haven't had much at all, if anything, to bet on. The return of a PGA, it doesn't matter if it's a major. This doesn't need to headline Tiger Woods, Brooks Koepka, and Phil Mickelson. It doesn't matter. I don't care who is in the final round or who's up there. This is now at least the beginning, the return to normalcy, the beginning of being able to bet again. And from books to sports bettors to people that have been waiting for something a little bit juicier, a little bit more tangible to look and actually physically go on these apps and bet. You don't need to reopen the strips in Atlantic City, a couple of miles away from me, in Las Vegas, where Matt Peralta is and others. You don't need to reopen everything. It's not like, oh my goodness, turn the lights on, flip it up, open up the hotels. But this is going to be gigantic just because it's something we're familiar with from a sports standpoint, the PGA Tour, golf. And it's not foreign to us as far as a betting product, a betting property, if you will. So it's legal here in PA, Jersey, right over the border. I can guarantee you that this event is going to be right up there, like top 5, top 10 bet on thing of the year. Now, granted, I know I'm cheating because we're in the middle of April, but just watch, even if you want to compare it to majors, if you want to compare it to last year's majors, there's going to be a significant amount of people that are going to be pouring in on apps, even but if maybe not necessarily legal in your state, the global market, wherever your bookie, somebody's going to be able to take a bet. This is going to be the return to what it was a couple of years ago in this area, at least, when it became legal, and almost like you have been locked in your house without anything at all to bet on. Look, you've been able to go back and watch reruns of games. You've been able to go back and watch replays of major events. Super Bowls have been on replay, NBA championships, all the classics have been back there. But from a sports betting standpoint, that doesn't exist. You can't do that. It doesn't really work that way. It's bizarre, isn't it? But at the same time, it makes sense on the surface, at least, because what the hell are you going to bet on? But from I need to bet, or I'd like to bet, or hey, I place a bet every now and again, you don't have anything at all that can even satisfy that. At least with the old stuff, you can go back and say, oh, okay, look, I was able to satisfy my need for sports by watching Tiger win the Masters. At Shander Show, at Ron Culver, 2 N's, twitch.tv/Shander Show. So I gave Kirk Cousins as my odds-on favorite. Ron, you gave James Dolan. Oh, Seth Everett, real quick, joins us in 6 minutes. So we'll look at some baseball stuff happening this offseason, what happens with the PGA Tour, how that impacts Rob Manfred. Also, he's got a great podcast, not only on sports and baseball, but on TV and movies. And there are a couple of shows worthy of discussion as well. James Dolan, I'm actually torn right now because I thought I had the winner. I thought I had Cousins locked in. But
let's break it down by sport. I think Kirk Cousins, out of all the NFL players, Kirk Cousins is hands down the easiest.
There's nobody else, right? I mean,
No.
I was thinking, maybe Dak Prescott, but Dak last year and really to his career, Dak doesn't have those moments of crumbling. I just think the Cowboys, it's like we're all waiting to play that Price is Right loser horn when they lose. What about Jared Goff?
I don't think yet.
Not yet.
No, because he hasn't.
And he was in the Super Bowl.
The thing is with Jared Goff, but he hasn't put himself out there.
True, Cousins has.
That's where the difference is. Jared Goff, yeah, I mean, he's he wasn't being used at all early by Jeff Fisher early on. Then Sean McVay comes in. He becomes a superstar quarterback, leads his team to a Super Bowl. And he had a mediocre year last year, but I can't put him in that same realm.
Okay. I'm curious. NBA. Now you go Dolan, but I actually have a local one that I think I can make an argument for real quick.
That Ben Simmons.
Absolutely. You've seen the videos of Ben Simmons knocking down threes.
In Philly.
Exactly, because you've seen those videos. The guy can knock 15 in a row from the corner, 3-point shot like it's nothing with nobody in the gym. You put a bunch of fans in the stadium, he won't shoot.
I'm certain I can give you 15 seconds and you can come up with half a dozen reasons other than not taking threes.
What,
or not making
is this
threes.
the 5-second rule here?
No.
Wait. You think
it could be?
You think
give me 3 reasons in 5 seconds.
Well, I thought I gave you the biggest reason. Now I'm second guessing. Did I miss something? Did I overlook something?
No, I just think Ben Simmons. I mean, if you're going to go player, I think Ben Simmons. There's just a whole host of reasons. Whether it's social life to attitude on the court, to having a hangnail, not being able to play.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, you just keep going on and
That's
on.
true. Seth Everett will join us coming up next. Name 3 Survivor Show locations, Ron. Go. 5.
Island, mountain, and desert.
Not bad yet. 2 seconds left. Name 3 American Ninja Warrior obstacles. 5. 3. 2. Come on, Ron.
And I watched that show. I am Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans and Rocket
Jeez, I wouldn't even know to get on that.
There's the spider crawl, the ramp.
Real quick, do you have Seth's number?
No.
Okay, hold on.
Rapidly every day. One thing that'll never change is our commitment to giving you the best mortgage experience. At Rocket Mortgage, our guiding philosophy of every client, every time, no exceptions, no excuses, exists for times like right now. We understand that hardships may arise, and we're prepared to help. If you currently work with us and need assistance with your mortgage, contact us 24/7 at rocketmortgage.com. As we all think
Hey, you
about
have an
ways to
iPhone,
save
don't you?
money, let me remind you that mortgage rates are near.
Yeah.
Can you text me? For
If
some
you
reason,
think
it's
right
coming
now
up
is
green.
the right time to refinance your mortgage.
I just
Our
emailed
home
you
loan
just in
experts
case.
are available to help you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at rocketmortgage.com.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. And MLSConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
At CDW, we get that wireless printing can leave your network vulnerable.
That's why I never take my eyes off our printers. I haven't blinked all day.
That's gotta itch.
No, it's more of a burning sensation.
Oh, he'd be great. He's great for a baseball one on here now. All right, I got you. I don't know why. Now it's green. Now it's blue.
Check your network with reliable automated.
Yeah, I've seen that happen. Usually, I always have that issue with my mom, and I just ignore it because it usually goes back.
And have more at CDW.com.
Great. So now I'm in our parents'
HDD
category
security.
of not being able to use technology.
Yeah, I wanted to make you feel old.
Thank you.
For Brunswick Advocates at 1-888-743-7254. You may be at
Now, you're not going to call Seth Chris, are you?
No. I know Seth too long
You
for
may be
this.
entitled to a
I didn't know if you wanted to have a Jim Rome moment.
1-888-743-7254.
Yes, Seth,
In February
Chris,
2020, the arrested
They're all related.
Right.
withdraw the drug from the market due
Just ask him, like, hey, how's your Aunt Chris doing? And, your Uncle Jim.
to more. If you've been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, colorectal, or lung cancer after using the weight loss drug Belviq or Belviq XR, call
Let's
the
hope he
Belviq
answers.
Advocates now for a free consultation. You may be owed a significant compensation.
All right, now, did you watch Ozark? I forget.
743-7254. 1-888.
No, not yet.
Okay, but you're
I need
caught
to.
up to date?
No, I haven't watched one season.
Got it. Okay.
Your physician prior to discontinuing use of any medication. Results may vary.
You're going on a trip, but where are you going to stay? How much will it cost? Well, it'll cost less by booking on besthotelrates.com. Besthotelrates.com works with all the top hotels in the country while delivering you great hotel and room choices for the best prices. Why wait? Go to besthotelrates.com, enter your email address, and start shopping.
Seth is ready.
Awesome. Thank you.
Besthotelrates.com. It's in the name. Besthotelrates.com.
Dealing with the root of the issues. It's The Second Level on SB Nation Radio.
And on SBNationRadio.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Eitan Shander.
So we go out to the Progressive Guest Line and have a couple of things. One that popped organically here on the show that's perfect for Seth Everett. The other, of course, is the USA Today report on the plan for sports coming back. Dr. Fauci giving a couple of key elements in sports returning, and a lot of people, with golf now giving an announcement, a lot of people want sports back, and specifically baseball back. Seth joining us right now at Seth_Everett. Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice, best baseball mind out there, at least top 3. We can look at that list, right? And it fluctuates. I know we put you at number 1, but I don't want Jason Stark to get upset. How are you, man?
Thank you very much. Jason, the Hall of Famer, is a dear friend. That's the thing. Thank you very much. You can lie to me anytime.
Well, first off, how are you, man? I know being in the area, greater area where we are, everybody's on edge in the Northeast. How's everything with you?
We're taking it very seriously. We have to, simply because I'll give you a couple of quick statistics. Guy across the street from me has it. One of my daughter's best friend's fathers has it. And I live walking distance from a hospital, which when you buy a house in real estate, that's a very good thing. They say, oh, wow, you're near a hospital. It's wonderful. We're walking distance to a hospital that currently has 680 cases. So it is all around. And so we're taking it very, very seriously. And I see it. My brother-in-law's in Manhattan. He is scared to go out of his apartment. My wife has an aunt in Manhattan. We have other friends in Manhattan. Luckily, they are all healthy, but it's overwhelming. And Central Park, the last thing I want to tell you, Central Park has become a makeshift hospital with tents that look like the TV show MASH. And it's 2 feet from the playground where all my kids' little childhood, when they were little, I pushed them on a string. So whenever I see the footage and I see that swing, it gives me chills because I have been there dozens of times.
Is there anything, I mean, think about it, where you just laid out in the areas you're discussing, you're in the hotbed, the hot spot, if you will, of the country. Is there anything, I mean, I guess basically looking at images that you're describing and seeing if it's Times Square, Central Park, other areas, even spilling over in North Jersey that are empty, at the very least, that's some sign of progress that people are listening and staying home.
I hope so. I did have an incident. I can't even tell it on national radio, but I had an incident with a lady in my development on my block. She did not respect social distancing. She let her dog come at my dog, and they got tangled up. I had to grab another person's dog, and animals don't transmit it, but none of these dogs are getting groomed.
Right.
And so they all have these thick coats, and that is a surface that can be considered a carrier. So can leashes. Now, I hope I didn't catch it from her, but that was my only potential exposure. It's an eerie feeling. Boy, did I tell that woman's head off. Oh my goodness! And I don't yell at it. And I don't yell at
I was going to say, yeah, that must have been
so,
built up for years.
but my concern with everybody, and I'll tell this quick story. This is the example of what I'm afraid of with sports returning. When Dr. Fauci said it very nonchalantly, he made one line. He's brilliant, but he made one line that he said very nonchalant. And I don't know how you can do it. And here's the example. We have a babysitter that comes to our house for the last 8 years, Monday through Friday, 1 to 7:30, and helps us work. And she's amazing. She's such a sweet lady. And she comes, and we don't know everything she does. She's not funny. She's not partier. She works and she has a day job, and we don't know most of it she's doing from home, but she's not quarantined, and we can't testify that she's been safe.
Right.
So we can't let her in our house. We had to let her go. So fast forward to, let's use baseball if you want.
Sure.
Because it applies to all the sports, but let's use baseball. So they send all these baseball players, because a lot of them are not going to want to go because they're not going to want to leave their families, and I can address that too. But for the sake of this argument, let's just say that you did it where all 750 players and the hundreds of officials and trainers and coaches, they all go to Arizona. In June and July, when it's 120 degrees, which to me is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. Now, if you told me you were doing that in September and playing 81 games September, October, November, and the playoffs and World Series in December, that I'd go for. Because hopefully the curve is flattened more by then, and you have the possibility of better weather in Arizona. Now, what happens when the Padres second baseman, some random middle infielder, realizes he needs cash for delivery, for food delivery, and he doesn't have it? And he goes and he forgets gloves. And he runs to the corner ATM in Phoenix, Arizona, because it's all strip malls there, and he goes down to Phoenix, Arizona, and he touches an ATM. And another player had done that, or another person who had done that, who now came in from a hot spot, and they didn't wipe the ATM. Now all of a sudden that guy carries. And he doesn't know because he's asymptomatic. They come in, and he goes into the clubhouse, and he's high-fiving because he gets an RBI triple. And the next thing you know, 6 guys have it. And if anybody says, well, that wouldn't happen, look at the Brooklyn Nets.
Yep.
The Brooklyn Nets did exactly that. And I have a podcast coming out today with Ryan Luco, who's on the charter with the Nets, and he had to quarantine for 14 days. And he did the last game before sports stopped for ESPN with Doris Burke, who tested positive.
Right.
So don't tell me this is a far-off scenario. And that's my hesitation.
Well,
and I'm not said cancel. I'm
sure.
not a negative person. But all I'm saying is it is way premature to start talking about bringing it back.
At what point do you think is the moment in our society, and hopefully it's going to be led by people with Fauci and MD at the end of their names, at what point do you think we should be having that conversation about returning? I'm not asking you when should baseball return. I'm saying when should Silver even came out and said, don't talk to me until May 1st with the NBA. When do you think that the moment in our society is right with what's happening, Seth, that we should be having the conversation about baseball returning?
Well, the NBA is in a different situation. I'd love to discuss that with you too. But to answer your question, tell me when Central Park becomes a park again.
Yep.
Tell me when the National Tennis Center is not a makeshift hospital. To me, that's what it is. When we have the capability with the hospitals that we have in our society to handle the coronavirus, and the tennis center can start putting nets up again and start becoming a tennis facility, that's when I'd like to see it. Because as long as the tennis center looks like it does, I don't want to see anything going in or out of Citi Field. And so that's been my philosophy. I think baseball is in a wait and see because they have no choice. And I think the best plan for them is the plan that I outlined, which is September, October, November, and then December have your playoffs and World Series. And if you say that's crazy, we never thought in our lifetime we would see a Mr. November. I want to see a Mr. December. I want to feel it because that guy will go down in history.
Well,
and this is a historic time, and let's have a good story. And for the NBA, it's a very different thing because it's all about dollars and cents, and it's ugly.
Sure.
And I'll just say this real quick. 70%, 65 to 70% of the NBA's revenue come from the playoffs and finals. So they would compromise all of next season for this season's playoffs. Because if they're going to only play an abbreviated time, why not play the 70% revenue as opposed to restarting the 82-game season and having the 35% revenue? They're in a different position than every other sport. The NHL, I think, is done because they let the players go home. And there are a lot of players in Finland and Sweden, and how the hell are they getting back? I think the NHL's done. And all I've asked for the NFL is don't release your schedule. Not saying cancel your games. Don't tell me when the Packers are playing the Bears because don't break my heart again.
I know. Seth Everett joining us at Seth_Everett. Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice on all iTunes and other platforms beyond for the podcast. I want to ask you something real quick before get your thoughts on a topic we were talking about ahead of time, and it's perfect for you to answer. But you mentioned you could talk a little bit more about that. I didn't want to let this go with our time here, not wanting to leave families. How prevalent of that is in your talking and discussion with players?
I know Zach Wheeler pretty well. I did not speak to him about this, but I do know somebody who did. And I trust that person implicitly. If you told me, and let's just do a fantasy, I'm not a play-by-play announcer and I'm not trying to be, but let's say they called me and said, hey, we're going to all go to Arizona and you're going to call all the team's games. We're going to pay you $3 million. I would turn it down. And I'll tell you why. My life is high risk. If she gets coronavirus, she's going to be on a ventilator. I guarantee it. She has autoimmune issues. She is a perfect candidate for bad things. I have 2 lovely children. If you think I'm going to Phoenix, Arizona, and there's a chance that my wife is still in quarantine because she can't take a chance, and if God forbid she gets coronavirus because some idiot's walking their dog and doesn't respect social distancing, who takes care of my children?
Yeah.
Answer that question. If you have an answer to that question, I'm not saying you.
No, I know it's rhetorical for me, right?
It's the proverbial.
Sure.
It's all of it. Right. If anyone knows the answer to that question, then you can do sports. And Zach Wheeler basically said, my wife's going to give birth. And what he was counting on was the 4-day paternity, which would cost him to miss 1 start. And he would miss 1 start for the birth of his child, and I don't think there's a person in society that would say no to that.
Sure.
However, he's not leaving his pregnant wife in a pandemic.
Yeah.
And he's right.
Absolutely.
And I guarantee you there's 30% of the players, and if the players aren't unanimous on this, don't do it.
It's a great point to make, Seth, and we'll definitely have a lot to talk about with your plan as well to restore baseball a little bit later in the calendar year, the 81 games. We were talking about this, though, real quick as we wind down, have about 90 seconds or so. Kirk Cousins came out and inadvertently admitted that he would be better off without fans. And then you could fill in the blank with the narrative, Cousins and belting the primetime lights, and not having fans would actually be beneficial for Cousins out there. What baseball player comes to mind that would benefit without having both a home and an away crowd? Probably somebody that even the home team gets on a lot that would benefit not having anybody out there.
Funny, Chris Davis, right? In Baltimore, he'd be like, nobody the point is, and I've gone on in markets. I've gone on in South Dakota, in Fort Myers, and they all ask me about fans. This is not about fans. Fans aren't coming back. They don't want to go to movie theaters. They don't want to go to the big convention hall. The problem is we can't police the players.
Right.
And it's not that I think the players are scufflaws, because none of the bars are open anyway. It's the accidental, and you can't police all these players going around. And unless you can't prevent the spread.
Awesome, Seth. Always appreciate it. Again, Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice, iTunes, and every other podcast platform out there. Thank you, friends. Stay safe, please.
Thank you too, my man. Congrats on the new show.
Appreciate that. All right. We will wrap the hour next here at Shander Show, at Ron Culver, 2 N's, twitch.tv/Shander Show. It's the second level.
Introducing AutomotiveMap.com. A brand new
Fun stuff.
Cool. Okay,
What's
good.
happening in the world of automotive
Yeah, sometimes, it's-
reviews on the latest vehicles to vintage
people can
rides,
talk,
to
it's
tips on
like,
keeping your family safe on the road. AutomotiveMap.com has something for you. If you love cars, trucks, and SUVs, and the amazing
Like, I know he's paying attention to some other stuff outside, talking to people. He has on his podcast, like he's going pace in the NBA. So figured it would be a pretty good big picture thing. And then, although he didn't really give us a player, say Chris Davis, I guess.
Yeah, I think so.
Is he the best baseball player?
Glory days. I don't know. Yeah, it's usually really. I mean, a lot of them aren't getting in trouble anymore.
Right.
And Ken Burns is narrating.
Well, who's not living up to a contract? Right? I mean, that's what I'd look at in baseball.
Well, no, I would look at, maybe extended further, not a player, but a team. Houston.
All right, well, let's look at that when we get back.
Also, I don't know if you've saw this at all. Have you heard about the hashtag All In challenge?
I have not, no.
That's a segment and a half. I
Okay,
think.
let's do that. Let's do that at before fake news.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a fun one.
All right, yeah, let's do that. And then we can do the XFL
I'm surprised
thing.
you haven't.
No.
I'm surprised you haven't heard it.
Sometimes I'm off now. Social media for extended periods of time. Not like when there was shit going on as much.
Yeah.
But no, so let's do that.
This is Street Heat.
So I normally record during Scott's show anyway. Did you listen at all yesterday?
Oklahoma City.
Or are you
A
sleeping?
little bit, but I got this. I ended up being in a store,
Oh, okay.
grocery shopping during that time.
Got it.
Had my mask on
And everything,
gloves on, looking like I'm about to rob the place, trying to get in and out without breathing. I've realized I can hold my breath for a long time. This is pretty cool.
That's a pretty good realization in all of this.
And to Russ and Ibaka and all the guys on that team, this is a put down on himself. He wasn't good enough to be the man. And he just told you so.
Straight Heat with Patrick Creighton. Weekdays from 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. Eastern on SB Nation Radio. SB Nation Radio. Scratching beneath the surface. It's the second level on SB Nation Radio.
And on SBNationRadio.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Eitan Shander.
All right, second hour, I've been alerted to something called the All-In Challenge. So we don't have time at all for Ron to go into any real depths to this, but he's going to explain it. You're going to explain it to me,
I'll explain it to you,
and then we can react.
and I'll direct you to the website.
Okay. We also have the Kirk Cousins, James Dolan, maybe Ben Simmons, odds-on favorites to, and Seth gave us Chris Davis kind of in jest on his way out. So I don't know if he'll stand by that one, but we're looking for the athlete, the front office member, the owner who would benefit the most. Now, and you said a
Real
team,
quick.
right?
Well, I said team, but real quick, you know him better. Was he talking Chris Davis of the A's or Chris Davis of the Orioles?
Orioles.
Okay, so that one makes a lot of sense to me then.
Because he gets booed at home.
Well, not only that, but I mean, if no one is around to see him strike out or swing and miss or not,
It doesn't count.
At the plate, it doesn't
That's
count,
right.
right?
Yes, it's the proverbial tree falling in the forest. Exactly
Yeah.
right. All right, so I think Davis actually makes more sense.
Does make a lot of sense now.
But now you throw another one.
See, you know what the problem was? Seth is a smart guy.
Very smart.
He's a bit above our pay grade, I think.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do is balance out the program by bringing on guests who are smart. So there's some level of education at the end of these 2 hours as opposed to just whatever the hell we're going to put out. But I already know where we are. And we need some sort of, you got to balance the scales a little bit. What you do, though, is you throw these wrenches in all the time, which I love because there's never anything that's going to be consistent. Things will always change. Now you want to add a team in this mix. You just want to add everybody from owner down to the last guy in the 25-man roster.
Right. Well, I guess because it's hard to single out a player. I mean,
Well, Seth did it.
I guess. Well, I can single out like 4 or 5 guys, but they're all equally the same.
All right, so what about Altuve? Does he not count? You'd have to go the whole.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, if you do Altuve, then why not Correa?
Okay, that's
why
fair.
Not Springer? Why not Bregman?
Now, quick question though: do you think fans at home are going to boo the Astros this year?
No, of course not.
It's just on the road.
It's just on the road.
I hope they can embrace it because that would be something of the ages. That would be like when LeBron first went to Miami and people would buy tickets just to show up to their home arena to boo him. All in challenge. We'll talk about that next. All right, man. Give me 1 second.
This This is the Big League Sports Show on SB Nation Radio.
Hi, this is Melissa Walker Campbell, host of the Big East Sports Show that airs every Friday night from 8 to 10 Eastern, right here at SB Nation Radio. Every week we promise to deliver the biggest and best of sports and go beyond the X's and O's. Some of our guests include Dixon Leo, Tony Dungy, Dan Reese, and Rick Carlisle. We've always got you covered.
Hear the Big East Sports Show every Friday night from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Time on SB Nation Radio. SB Nation Tonight with John Michaels.
We don't know that 16 days from now things might not be trending in a good direction. I'm going to continue to take the glass half full approach. I'm continuing to plan as if college football and pro football is going to happen in the fall, and that we're going to have the NBA by June at some point. I'm thinking by June we're going to have NBA back and baseball will be up and running. We may be playing in front of empty gyms for a while. So be it.
SB Nation Tonight, weeknights at 10 Eastern on SB Nation Radio. Pushing the odds with Matt Perrault.
Second Riviera Stadium joining us here, Pushing the Odds. What are you hearing from athletic directors and coaches about their preparations for what may or may not happen coming up this fall?
As far as the athletic directors, I mean, they've got a number of contingency plans, whether that starts in late August as scheduled or maybe even gets pushed back to the spring. The NFL to play football does not need to bring back 40,000 students on campus. College football does. And I would think it's very unrealistic that all of these major university presidents will feel confident enough to say, you know what, to all of our students all over the world, it's now safe to come back on campus and take your fall classes. But make no mistake, they will find out some way to get this season done, which could mean the semifinals from the Rose Bowl and the Sugar Bowl and the national title game from Miami going on maybe as late as Memorial Day.
Pushing the odds with Matt Perrault. Weekday afternoons from 1 to 4 Eastern on SB Nation Radio.
Wake up, Paul! What did you think about the president getting asked about Joe Exotic?
Here's the only thing I don't like. I don't like the fact that Trump was lying to us about not having watched Tiger King.
Yeah, right. Come on.
You know, he's going through those things. Is that Joe Exotic? I'm like, no, come on, Mr. President. You know who Joe Exotic is.
Seems everybody does.
Wake up call with Tony D and Ron Colbert. Weekday mornings.
Wake up, Paul! Millwood has been paying out $2 million every year for the past 17 years on insurance for a pandemic. And so they've paid $34 million into this insurance. They're going to collect over $100 million from the insurance policy.
Yeah. How much easier was it for them to cancel the trip and what's like that?
Shame on me, because I thought it was grass. I thought it was,
All right, man, I'm here.
yeah, like you got to dried out grass in August or in the fall. You can't hold Wimbledon on its grass court. Little do I know that this was an easy decision to cancel this bad boy and collect themselves $100+ million. Oh, we won't be having Wimbledon this year. All in favor say aye. Great. The ayes have it. Anybody want to process that claim?
Wake up call with Tony D and Ron Colbert. Weekday mornings.
If business, pleasure, or sports fandom takes you to Houston, Dallas, Austin, Fort Worth, or San Antonio, check out CultureMap.com to get the scoop on the local favorites. From the best restaurants, bars, pubs, and clubs to the biggest sights and sounds each city has to offer, CultureMap has it all. Just head over to CultureMap.com. The expert team personally reviews and visits each spot to make sure you get the best experience. And if you're coming back, sign up for free CultureMap updates at CultureMap.com.
SB Nation Tonight with John Michaels.
What event do you think you have any chance of actually getting done? I'm trying to think. I would probably have to learn how to do one of those shooting events. I was never going to be able to do the javelin. I never could have done the shot put. I'm scared of heights, so I damn sure wasn't going to try to do the pole vault and jump over something 20 feet in the air. I don't know that there was anything I could have done. Like the swimming? No. I damn sure wasn't diving unless we could have done a cannonball off the top of the platform. I'm not diving into the water and flipping around like a maniac. You know what? Maybe if I train for like a year, I might have a shot to play some ping pong against somebody. Although, actually, no. Those dudes are like 40 feet off the table, and that thing's like, the ball's just flying everywhere. I can never do that either.
Oh, so,
Like there's anything.
I don't know. Are you familiar with these? They do them here because IP, WIP is an Entercom station. So CBS Sports Radio runs these 60-second vignettes where it's basically like a host who's on at that time will record a 60-second like monologue or something, right? And it'll air in that time slot around all the local affiliates around the country. And they're all terrible. And Boomer Esiason did one this morning. Are you there? I don't even know if you're there. Oh, okay, cool. And Boomer did one this because I listen to the morning show at times. I drive to the bank, so I was listening to the local morning show today, Angelo, just to see all the draft shit they're doing. And I heard this, and Boomer was, and they're always terrible. I always turn them off. He was doing the John Havlicek call of Havlicek, of Johnny Mosto. Havlicek steals the ball, that, but he did it. Like half of the 60-second read was him doing it in Johnny Mosto. It was the most awkward thing I've heard on radio. Oh my God, it was terrible.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Alongside Ron Culver, here's Tony D. That's your system's launcher control.
Just realized I put that on.
I was all set to come on as Tony.
Double thinking is defined as looking beyond the easy, obvious conclusions. You gotta do some
I need to get more sleep.
I love it.
to the second level. To the second.
I was listening to it, I'm like, man, does that sound not familiar right now?
Here we go beyond the box score. Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Rocket Mortgage
That's great.
every step of the way. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's your host, Eitan Shed.
Got me a little nervous there. I worked in Nashville for 2.5 years, and there was a great newscaster in the morning. He was awesome at his job, but a casualty of cutbacks, etc. He wasn't told, Ron Culver, that he was fired.
Being replaced?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't replaced. Like they just took that job out, and I think they just had somebody record the news for the morning show, which is ridiculous as it was. But he did not realize he was out until he showed up at 5:10 in the morning to do his newscast, and his car didn't work in the building. He called up to me and said, "Hey, I can't get in. I'm still new to the business. I didn't know." I ran down. I let him on. Next thing I know, I get a phone call from the program director. What the hell? And the thickest, like, Southern molasses type accent. It's awesome. What the hell is he doing on the air? And next thing I know, it's just bedlam. And then I realized that's how you find out. So here I'm thinking, wow, we didn't even make it the first week. And this is it for us.
It was my bad.
No, trust me.
I forgot to forward you that memo.
Oh, okay. Sorry. But
Yeah.
at least you would have given me the heads up, right?
I would have. Similar happened to my wife. She had a job a long time ago where they were going through layoffs, and they didn't let her know. The way she found out was because her email wasn't working.
Oh,
and so
no.
she called them. She's like, yeah, for some reason my email's not working.
Oh. And then you get the, well, sorry. The reason why your email isn't working is...
Well, we were going to call you later on this afternoon.
We've got a busy hour here. Now that we're back in business. Fake news with Ron coming your way in 15 minutes. Before that, though, the All-In Challenge. I have no idea what this is. I didn't research it in the break. Also, before we get out of here, we have odds on who's going to buy the XFL.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans and Rocket
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, listen, man.
I will tell you this.
I don't care. You know that, right?
I promise you that will probably happen again.
Oh, that's why I said I don't care. Trust me. You could do whatever you want. It's still
Now is the right time to refinance your mortgage. Our home
Oh,
loan
man,
experts
that's
are
great.
available to help 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at rocketmortgage.com.
Call for cost information.
Yeah, man.
Equal housing lender.
He came up and he did his newscast, and I got this call, and it was just
For the ones
yelling
who
and
love
screaming at me, "Get him the fuck out of the building!" And
For the
I
ones
thought,
who
well,
shine
shouldn't that be
Why are they making the new guy
seriously?
take care of that?
Seriously.
Who is this?
Apparently they never told him.
him.
They went through the process of removing his card from the system, but they never told him.
Experience
That's too funny.
questions. Call
Oh,
Granger.com or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Attention all timeshare owners. Is this what you'd like to do with your timeshare contract? Do you want a timeshare and just want out? Thousands of timeshare owners are getting out of their timeshare contracts. With the help of Timeshare Compliance, Timeshare Compliance can legally terminate, tear up, shred, eliminate, trash your timeshare agreement, ending your payments forever, saving you thousands. So whether you're a victim of a high-pressure, dishonest sales agent, or you were misled with what you were buying, or you overpaid and they underdelivered, call Timeshare Compliance now for a free consultation. With one simple call, the trusted professionals at Timeshare Compliance can legally rip off your timeshare agreement and help rip off your financial suffering. You could save thousands. Call now before another payment is due. Timeshare Compliance is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Call 800-718-2963. 800-718-2963. 800-718-2963.
The American spirit is alive and well. And underscore the word spirit because at a time when we could all use a little good news, this story will do the trick. The company is called Surf City Stillworks out of Huntington Beach, California. And as their name implies, Surf City creates unique, amazing craft bourbon, vodka, gin, and rum. And to say their business was booming would be an understatement. Then came the pandemic. Hospitals and first responders were desperate for hand sanitizers. Without giving it a second thought, Surf City converted a massive still from creating craft bourbon to creating hundreds of gallons of FDA-approved hand sanitizer for first responders, hospitals, and others. If you live in California and you love craft bourbon, vodka, gin, or rum, and you want to support a great American company, visit SurfCityStillworks.com and enter radio for 20% off of any home delivery of their spirits. You can also donate. That's promo code radio for 20% off at SurfCityStillworks.com. Cheers.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you have that Stephen Jones cut too?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's do that real quick. Then we can do the all-in challenge. Oh, yeah. Actually, wait. No, I'll save that for the 40. Sorry.
You're listening to The Second Level on SB Nation Radio.
And on SBNationRadio.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, with way more than the scores. Here's Eitan Shander.
So the big story today about sports returning, at least something we can point at on a calendar with an actual date and not, well, talk to me in a couple of weeks or a 25-day plan or let's push this thing back to September or there's not going to be any college football this year. PGA Tour will, and this is, again, reportedly, return to action in June. Things can change. Hopefully you know that now by how things have changed with predictions and models based off of human behavior. Golf Digest is the one that reported the tour has sent out a memo notifying players it will resume June 11th. That's Fort Worth, Texas, to be exact, for the Charles Schwab Challenge. Fans will not be permitted to attend the tournament, rightfully so, as the tour plans to follow local health and safety guidelines. Several major golf tournaments, including the Masters, U.S. Open, we already know the British Open, all been canceled, postponed due to this ridiculous, crazy, wild pandemic across the globe. One question before we get into the all-in challenge, and again, I promise I have no idea what this is. I even tweeted it out that we'll be talking about this ahead of time, but I have not looked into it. I have no idea what this is. I'm looking at the golf story and I guess the return from a couple of angles. We talked about just, hey, having sports back. That's awesome. That's great. Now we get something back that's not forced through our TV set, some sort of ping pong tournament or anything else that's completely foreign to us on a regular nightly basis. We get golf back, which is a start. It's not the end. It's not even the middle, but it's a start. There's also the humongous door that reopens from the sports betting community. and the ability now to go back to something way more familiar from a betting standpoint, and that's betting on futures as far as who may win this thing, holes, betting on shots, betting on everything you can, and hopefully legally, of course, from the books and app standpoint, you're going to have a lot more offered from an in-game and in-tour opportunity here, an in-event, if you will, opportunity to bet stuff. Because, yeah, a lot of people are going to put money on right away when they see the field come out and see who comes out. We'll get to that in a second. But just the amount of money that's going to pour into this one event, and it just so happens to be June 11th, Fort Worth, Texas, Charles Schwab Challenge. You could fill that blank in with as many different variables as you want. And to take it a step further, I don't think it really, truly matters. Now, a little bit on the surface it will, but I don't think it truly matters if you don't get a couple of the big name stars. You're getting a PGA Tour event. We already know that it ain't the Masters, it's the Charles Schwab Challenge. But if Tiger says no, if Koepka says no, if somebody along those lines says no, I don't think that it is a deterrent, or at least I would hope it's not a deterrent. I believe it's not for you. But think about this. At Shander Show, you can get us on Twitter at Ron2N Culver as well, and twitch.tv/Shander Show. Do you think that this will be a full house, or do you think that people, as far as golfers are concerned, will struggle to come back to this event? We'll struggle and say, you know what, it's not worth it. We talked to Seth Everett about this element with baseball players and really athletes, and golf comes in that umbrella. It's not worth it to risk any type of safety or damage, if you will, to my family. Therefore, I'm going to stay home. That's another factor about all this. Just because it's back, just because it's on the calendar, doesn't necessarily mean that all of the athletes, all the golfers, if you will, I don't want to get in trouble now. You called a golfer an athlete. All the golfers are going to come back in droves, and it's going to be a typical top to bottom PGA Tour event. I wonder if, in fact, this might seem like it's 65, 70% full as opposed to what we're used to. Now,
yeah, you're not going to get any European golfers.
No, and rightfully so, right? I mean,
yeah, there's too much going on.
Yeah, and not to sound xenophobic, but if you're not in this country right now, I don't know how you get in the, unless some Dana White stuff going on, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you do, then what is it, June 11th? You need to get here by May, 25th?
And quarantine, correct.
And quarantine for 14 days?
Correct, because otherwise
And then where are you going to quarantine? There's not really a whole lot of options. I would, if it was me, I'd probably go to Montana. Just because at least you can get outside there, it seems like.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best area, right? It's just to be as outside as humanly possible.
Right.
So help me out here, right?
I mean, I don't know if the country, if this golf tournament will be huge or successful. I mean, obviously there's not going to be any fans, and I don't know how many golfers actually show up. I don't know how many big names you get. I don't know if it's like a Phil or a Tiger or Jordan Spieth. Jordan Spieth might do it just because that's down the road from him. But I think out of all the sports, golf is probably the easiest to get back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you can social distance, and then I wonder, to take it a step further, are you going to allow these golfers to have caddies? If they don't have caddies, are you going to allow them to have carts?
I think what you're going to have to do is separate. Well, here's the thing: the caddy comes like the golfer already assumed to be quarantined and tested. So much like your wife, my fiance, people that we live with, right? We're all quarantined in the house. You just extend that to a little bit more of a metaphor, which is, I believe, that whoever you're with, like your caddy comes in. Same thing with a golfer. You're told to keep 6 feet. You're told to stay and maintain social distancing, but everybody comes in tested so that if you're 3 feet away and somebody sneezes, that person at least has been cleared. But you're right as far as the logistics of it now with a cart, for example, and you shouldn't be in these carts anyway. I'll read you a tweet at Turf Burgers. Extremely skeptical of the golf return. Work in the golf industry and worked a few PGA Tour events. Grounds crew is 50 to 70 plus guys working in close proximity for 10 hours a day. A lot of social distancing violations and logistic problems related to COVID there. That's just the groundskeepers, not mentioning what you brought up, Ron. And that, of course, being the golfers and the caddies, the actual people involved in this, let alone the people setting it up. All right. We've got fake news coming up, and as you would imagine, as anticipated, I have yet to be able to budget the time. So will you at least let me know what the all-in challenge is? We can break, take a second, do fake news, come back.
You're going to want to dive into it a little bit more, I think.
Yes, but just at least reward me.
You know who Michael Rubin is?
The minority owner of the Philadelphia 76ers?
Yes.
Okay.
Who is also the chairman of Fanatics. Well, he came up with an idea. It's called hashtag All In Challenge, where basically the whole premise of it is to raise, his goal is to raise tens of millions of dollars to feed those in need.
Okay.
Tens of millions of dollars to feed, to combat hunger, especially in these times with, coronavirus, COVID-19, a lot of people losing their jobs. And I think he might get hundreds of millions of dollars.
Wait,
it's kind of turned in. If you just Google.
So you're saying hundreds of millions of dollars in the first place, like it wouldn't happen?
No. I think this thing will probably generate hundreds of millions of dollars.
Okay.
He was hoping for tens of millions of dollars to raise for food to feed the hungry. I think it's going to raise hundreds of millions of dollars. You just need to Google hashtag All In Challenge. It's it should be a website powered by Fanatics. You should see some of the things that you can bid on, such as this one just popped up maybe an hour ago, a walk-on role in a Scorsese film with DiCaprio and De Niro.
Wow.
Or you could be in Kevin Hart's next movie.
Is this allinchallenge.org?
If you go to fanatics.com.
Oh, it's fanatics.com. Okay.
Yeah. And then there's an all-in challenge.
Well, hold on a second.
When I googled hashtag all-in challenge, it was one of the first things that popped up.
Okay, I'm here. Now, let me, because you're right. We can go piece by piece, event by event, what you could bid on. Let's start with the Scorsese thing, okay? I get on the surface, you can brag and be like, hey, I was on... It would be like if you went viral on ESPN or something, like you were a College Game Day, right? And your sign hit Barstool and ESPN, everything else, and you went viral, except you paid to be there and you paid to have your
good cause.
Yes. Well, yeah, I get it. Like, okay, but see, that's like the whole ice bucket challenge and everything else. This isn't
right, but this one takes it a little bit of a step further.
How so?
Well, I mean, okay.
Doesn't it cheapen a score? Like, if I see you in a Scorsese movie and I know that you paid to get in there.
Look at some of the other ones, Eitan.
Well, okay, but let's just, I don't have it up yet, so that's why I was focusing only on the Scorsese one.
Let me give you a sports one, right?
Yes.
For all the people in Dallas, right? If you can bid right now, you can enter for only $10, and you can buy as many. Like some of them you can buy like raffle tickets or raffle tokens or whatever, while others you're just outright bidding on. It's an auction. But if you're a Mavs fan, Mark Cuban will give you a one-day contract to play with the Mavs.
Okay, now you're right. There isn't enough time right now to go through all of this, but we will at 12:40 Eastern, okay? 18 minutes from now. I've got a lot of questions, specifically why? I mean, can you imagine Game 63 and you're in it with two other teams for seeding? And here you go. Here's your one-day contract.
It wouldn't be that long. It would probably be more like Game 30. So they could, if you
bury them?
You can bury that game somehow.
Is this open to all genders, or I mean?
There's some that are hit home for you. Well, we gotta do.
Let's do this. We're gonna break. Do fake news with Ron Culver coming up next. 12:40 Eastern. I have a question. Odds out already about who's gonna buy the XFL, but we might need to push that to the back. Because I see a couple of things here. Be in Kevin Hart's next movie, play in the NBA All-Star Celebrity Game. There's a lot. Fake news next here on the second level. Oh, man, this is great. Play horse and sit courtside for Lakers with Magic.
Yeah. There's a couple of Eagles ones out there, too. And the great thing about it is each one comes with a little video, and then they challenge somebody else. So there's some that haven't even stepped up to the play yet.
Wait, so how does this work? Like I challenged Ben Simmons, and then Ben Simmons says you can sit courtside and play 5-on-5 with me?
No. Like what I'm thinking how it started was Michael Rubin. Maybe he challenged Ben Simmons. Maybe he challenged because there was like there's 3 Philadelphia ones up there specifically. So I'm thinking maybe he challenged Ben Simmons, Zach Ertz, and who's the owner of the Eagles? Jeff Lowry.
Lurie, yeah. Okay, so
Lowry, okay. Maybe he challenged them.
who's he? Reuben? Oh, okay. So he's
So then,
okay.
so then those guys. So Ben Simmons, he's offering a chance for you to play. Grab 4 of your friends or 4 of your buddies, or whatever, and they'll do 3-on-3 or 2-on-2 or something like that.
Got it. Oh, look at this design call a play at Philadelphia Eagles preseason game. Oh my God.
So then Jeff Lowry or Lurie, he'll challenge somebody else, like Peyton Manning. Somebody challenged Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning is offering you and 3 of your buddies to play 18 holes of golf with him, and then he'll go out to dinner with you, where you can invite 10 of your friends to a local restaurant to support local business.
Wow.
And then he challenged Eli, Brad Paisley, and God, I keep forgetting the coach of the Tennessee Volunteers.
Basketball?
No, football. Doesn't matter. I keep forgetting them over and over again. But that's what happens. Each of them challenged. Like Kevin Hart,
anymore, right?
I believe, challenged The Rock.
Okay. Got it.
And my doctor. And so The Rock hasn't
Jeremy
what
Pruitt.
he's going to do yet. Yeah, Jeremy
That's
Pruitt.
what it
Thank you.
Okay, so once you get challenged, then you do a video.
You got to do it, right? You got to videotape yourself saying, "Here's what I'm going to offer." Like Eli offered up the True Game Day experience, which was flip a coin during a Giants game, and then
Well, I see he also has a Super Bowl MVP Corvette convertible.
that he's giving away.
Oh,
Meek Mill is going to give up his Phantom Rolls Royce, or his Rolls Royce Phantom, I should say.
All right, listen up, pay attention.
And some of them are where you can bid on it. Some are straight up auction. Like
enter
this is where
right.
the price starts.
Right.
And that's why I said I think this will get into the hundreds of millions, because I think you have enough fans out there who would die to be in a Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart's offering a speaking role, or want to call. How many Eagle fans are going to maybe try to bid? Is like, I want to call a play.
Right.
Design and call a play.
Dealing with the root of the issues. It's the Second Level on SB Nation Radio.
And on SBNationRadio.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Cortland Rose. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Eitan Shandor.
All right, we're definitely coming back to this 13 minutes from now. I see a couple of Philadelphia-related ones, including one that I actually think could work. But fake news with Ron Culver. We'll get imaging done for this, right, at some point, since we're doing
At
it every
some
day.
point, yeah.
That's
We'll have
fine.
Imaging, the music
That's
bed,
fine. That's fine.
Come on, it's a skeleton crew.
I understand. So you've got 4 stories. One of them is fake. You've got me twice so far, 2 days in a row. Let's roll it out today.
All right. Story number 1. A wisecracking boiler technician teaches high school students to believe in their dreams.
Okay. I need a little more than that.
Right? That's what says it all right there, right?
No, I have no idea. I sense this story is going to have an ugly turn.
No, there's no ugly turn. Come on now. Why you got to be so pessimistic? Why you got to be so doom and gloom? It's probably the society that we live
I'm
right
sitting
now.
in the middle of a pandemic.
Basically, what it is, a boiler technician, he jumped on not TikTok. TikTok would be fun for him to jump on, but Zoom. And, he's just telling kids, telling his high school students, and, don't give up on your dreams, especially these seniors who have nothing, there's really nothing for them to look forward to.
Wait a second. That's what this is? He's the high school boiler room tech?
Yeah, he jumped on a Zoom.
Is he doing his own Zoom?
I can't remember the high school. No, because you know how you don't have kids. Like my kids are doing Zoom meetings more often than I am.
Right.
Like my oldest, who's 12, he has about 3 a day.
And it's just with his buddies?
No, it's with his teacher.
Oh, okay. So my fiance is
like
a teacher.
classroom. Yeah, it's almost like a classroom setting. So
Got it.
Your fiance is probably doing Zoom meetings from time to time with her students.
Yeah, it's a little different here in PA, but she's doing them at least with her coworkers. But yes.
Okay. But sometimes they
I get what you're saying.
They started doing it with the students. I think it was in a way to make everyone feel, hey, you guys, you're not alone. Everyone's in the same situation. But a boiler technician, I guess, who has a sense of humor at this one. I can't remember the high school. I was trying to find it. Just told students to, just not give up, to, keep pushing forward and believe in their dreams.
Was there?
But one day the school will get back together.
Well, hopefully. But was there some sort of, like, how many other people do you think were doing that? Don't you think at some point the kids are just like, all right, enough is enough?
This one was just, chosen out of random.
Just chosen. No, but I mean, how many people, don't you think that a 13, 14-year-old kid, or maybe even 16 to 18-year-old kid is like, all right, I've heard it from my teacher, my principal, the boiler room tech. Everybody out here is telling me to believe in myself and follow my dreams. Enough is enough. It's going to be counterproductive at times. Like when your mom tells you to brush your teeth every night, 50 times a night, and you're like, all right, I don't need to brush my teeth anymore.
My mom is a teacher in LA, and junior high teacher in LA, and she's like, she tells me every time that she has one of these Zoom meetings, about half of her students don't even show up.
I wouldn't either. All right, so we have an inspirational boiler room tech in high school.
Yes.
All right, what's next?
There's a small zoo warning it will need to slaughter some animals to feed other animals due to the country being shut down.
Now, do we have any idea of what the small animals are that will be slaughtered?
You're saying small. I don't. It's
a small amount.
Zoo. It's a smaller zoo. The zoo isn't recognized under the state authority. It isn't like the Bronx Zoo,
right? Which is overrated.
I think it's more like a Carol Baskin type of zoo.
Yeah, what is the deal now? Zoos are everywhere in the news. It's one little thing now.
So there's one zoo says that they might run into issues because there's no federal protection. There's no government protection for them.
They can't file for a small business loan?
No, they cannot.
Oh.
And since that seems to be the case for them, their only alternative, because they have some large animals that eat a lot, is that they're probably going to have to start offering some of these animals to feed to the other animals.
What do you think the biggest animal they have is? An elephant?
Well, I know they have an elephant.
Okay.
I believe they have a giraffe as well.
Giraffe would be, no way they have a whale. But they have, but they have an elephant.
They probably have some big cats.
Probably, yeah, I would think
that. Some small ones. They probably have some smaller.
But the elephant has to be the biggest, right?
Yeah, but you can't off an elephant.
No, I was looking at
an elephant eats hay, so that's I'm just thinking they probably have like
so
a
does
couple
a giraffe.
tigers or lions.
Yeah,
so I'm thinking you have tigers or lions.
Exactly. What's the biggest meat eater that you would have to appease? Probably a lion.
Probably a jungle cat of some sort.
I would think so as well. It's not something that's like a herd animal, like a bunch of bats or whatever birds would be out there. All right, so the smaller zoo having to streamline, if you will. That's number 2.
Streamline, or yeah.
That's 3.
This is you can find this for sale if you went online. There's a Yankee snapback adjustable hat that only sets you back $375.
What? A snapback hat? Does it have gold or platinum flakes on it or something?
Possibly.
And it's just a Yankees hat? Did Derek Jeter wear it when one of his friends came over and dropped her phone in the bucket or something?
It's made from the hair. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, it's made from the spine of one of the Bat Boys in 1970.
It's the same purse that was made.
Right.
No, it's actually cut from one of Aaron Judge's uniforms.
Okay, now I'm surprised something like this hasn't been done before, aren't you? I mean, when you see the ability to turn cloth into cap and then sell it as a higher end item, now I don't think that's going to make it on the All-In Challenge unless you went, like Derek Jeter's game-worn jersey in a World Series. But I don't think, here's the thing, I wouldn't do that personally. And I'm not coming down on the person who does. I'm just saying, me personally, I don't think that it would justify, oh, look, that's, it's a piece of Aaron Judge's uniform, or take.
I look at this. I mean, how much is Aaron Judge's uniform worth?
Probably more than $375, right?
Well, this is a markdown price. Originally, it was $500.
Well, they probably realized that nobody was buying it at $500.
Of course. I couldn't do it.
No.
Not a chance could I buy a $400 hat.
But that's the thing. Even if you had the expendable income, you look at that and think, well, nobody's going to know the difference. See, here's the thing. How are you going to know the difference? How is the idea of buying that hat? It's only one of two things. You're either going to put it up somewhere and hide it in the middle of your basement or house or your trophy case, your man cave or female cave or whatever, right? You're going to do all of that, or you're going to go out and wear it. But Who in their right mind is going to know walking down the street, oh, you see that? That's the Aaron Judge Yankees hat. Nobody's going to have any idea what it is. You're going to look like a jackass, not because you're wearing a Yankees hat, but because you're wearing a $400 Yankee cap that nobody can identify. Doesn't make much sense to me. I don't know. All right, we have one more here.
We have one more. A woman wakes up in a funeral home in a body bag after being declared dead by a doctor.
See, I feel like stuff like this happens once a year. We get a story about that. A misidentified death in which it's right down to being in the damn morgue.
Yep.
Oh, this is a tough one here. So that's all we know. She was actually in a body bag and woke up.
Yeah, she's a married mother. Miraculously came back to life after the doctor had written her off. Because she came, I guess she went in. She's a cervical cancer patient.
Okay.
But she came in with high blood pressure, probably passed out at some point. I'm not really sure what happened, but the doctor wrote her off and said she's dead. She didn't come to until the morticians or the people in the morgue were getting ready to prepare her body.
Okay, jeez, man. Like, can you imagine the shock waking up?
I would quit right there.
Yeah, that would be, oh my
On
goodness.
the spot, I would quit.
Walk
because
out,
I would
right?
always be afraid that would happen again.
Yeah, that's
And
so
next-
true.
Or I would off that body right there because of like zombies.
Well, look, they're in the middle of a pandemic. That's the next phase, isn't it? That people start
Exactly.
waking
That's
up.
what we're waiting for.
Unbelievable. All right, let's do this. We'll try to put it all in the same segment here. We've got the high school boiler tech guy giving out all the positive inspiration, the smaller
Yes.
zoo that might streamline, the Aaron Judge uniform into the hat, and the woman who wakes up from being dead, allegedly. All right, so the obvious answer here would be number one. It's not my answer, but I feel like the obvious one would be number one because it's such an easy story to kind of slide into what's happening right now, and it's believable. I'm going to go sports here. I'm going to go our wheelhouse, our world, only because I feel like I'd be making fun of people on Twitter once I saw that, and I missed it. So credit you if it's real for sneaking it by me, but I'm going to say the Yankees one is the fake one. What's
You
the
would say the Yankees one,
yeah?
huh?
Now you want to tell me now, so we can do the all-in challenge next?
You want it now?
Well, we don't have time.
Oh, bummer.
I tried.
Stop by O'Reilly Auto. I know. I did it on
I know,
purpose.
I know.
Batteries, microwaves.
All right, so let's do that, and then we can get into this. I was looking at some more of these too.
Yeah, the one I was the most interested in because then I think I'd want to parlay that into a really good friendship is the double date with Zach and Julie Ertz.
Oh, that's a good one.
Did you see that?
No, I missed that.
It's a double date with them. I think it's dinner and then a Sixers game.
Wow.
During these challenging times, to providing you,
I can do that one all day.
That's dinner and the Sixers game.
hardships may arise, and we're
not
prepared
bad.
to help. Mortgage rates remain near historic lows.
I got
If
a
you think
couple
now is
votes
the
here
right
on
time to
Twitch.
refinance your mortgage,
Number
our
3 as
homegrown
well.
Experts are available to help 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at rocketmortgage.com.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. And MLSConsumerAccess.org. Number 3030.
Do you have a retirement account worth more than $100,000? Pay close attention to what I'm about to tell you.
Whoa.
Gold
See this
is
thing?
a better way. Gold is a better way to protect your retirement. A better way to grow your
See what thing?
everything you're currently doing inside your
Vikings
retirement.
and Browns
And
discussing a
advise
trade
gold.
that would
We're
send
certain
Odell
that
Beckham
gold
Jr.
is
to
going higher
Minnesota
price and going
for a
to
second and
outperform
fifth round
stocks and
pick
bonds.
next year,
We
according to
created
Mark
the world's
Lewis.
first gold protection
All
retirement
right.
platform
Jeez.
ever built.
Moose out here breaking NFL news? I didn't realize that.
Free access. Once you see it, you'll have no choice but to agree. Gold is a better way. And all you need to do is call
Round
our
straight is
recorded
first and
line for
third.
your special quote. You can join the site for free. Just call now to get your code. 800-908-2174. 800-908-2174.
This is after Schefter said
800-908-2174.
yesterday the Browns aren't trading Odell.
That's 800-908-2174.
The American spirit is alive and well. And underscore the word spirit because at a time when we could all use a little good news, this story will do the trick. The company is called Surf City Steelworks out of Huntington Beach, California. And as their name implies, Surf City creates unique, amazing craft bourbon, vodka, gin, and rum. And to say they're a bit
Kevin Boyard, who's covers the NFL for CBS.
Okay.
Has a picture. It's kind of funny. Is because I'm a Chargers fan, so I get Chargers stuff,
Nice.
and it's like Chargers GM Tom Telesco versus Giants GM Dave Gettleman, and it shows pictures of their NFL war room, right? Since they're all doing it from home. And he goes, notice the difference in monitor to paper ratio on each desk. I'll give you a guess. Who do you think's desk is filled with papers?
Gentlemen.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
He has this gigantic book in front of him that I swear to God is thicker than a Bible.
That's too much. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Scratching beneath the surface. It's the second level on SB Nation Radio.
And on SBNationRadio.com.
Present. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Eitan Shander.
XFL is up for grabs. Vince McMahon shut it down, then declared bankruptcy, and is now looking for a buyer to take over and assume a lot of the debt. And who the hell knows? I would imagine that if you're going to buy the XFL property, you're going to assume some of the debt. Bob Stoops owns a lot of it, or is at least owed, I should say, a lot of it. And from there is at least some sort of footprint that you could go back and build it. So I put this out on Twitter, at Shander Show. You can hit us up at Ron Culver 2Ns as well, at SB Nation Radio. Follow along on Twitch, twitch.tv/Shander Show. The phone number, 800-224-2004. Who should buy and revive the XFL?
Charlie Ebersol.
Well, I don't know if it's going to be that big of a play, though, right?
I don't know, but he's got to have some favorites, right?
I didn't get one Ebersol on here.
Didn't get one Ebersol.
Not one Ebersol.
Come on.
Now,
with all the success he had with the Alliance of American Football,
I would think that he's probably still having nightmares about the Alliance of American Football. Like you would have if the body woke in the morgue. You'd have nightmares like that for the rest of your life. Ebersol can't get a good night's sleep anymore.
Yeah.
He wakes up in the middle of the night, has cold sweats. AAF! All right. Let's look at this real quick, though, and then we'll get into the all-in challenge. I just want to establish this here. We'll come back to it before we end the show. I was trying to figure out a couple of odds-on favorites here in this hypothetical who would buy then revive, because revive is a key element of it, the XFL.
Right.
I had two names that I put right at the top, and then an entity that was given to me via Matt Lombardo, who covers the NFL, Giants, Jets up for NJ.com. But the names that I got, and I think in order of odds-on favorite to second favorite, would be Mark Cuban and Jeff Bezos. Do you have a third name that you could slide in there? And no, for the people who tweeted me, it's not going to be Trump, so we can remove him.
Yeah, no, Trump's already gone down that road.
Right.
That road once.
Nor is it
before,
Frank Stallone, who I got from Forza Toronto.
Frank Stallone, how much is the XFL worth? Frank Stallone.
He might be borrowing money from his brother. Who knows?
Yeah.
Is there a third name that we're missing?
I don't.
Because I have two others, but I put them below. So Mark Cuban is the odds-on favorite. Coming in second would be Jeff Bezos. So let me give you two other names that I think are below them, kind of in that second tier. You know, Cuban would be like minus 150, Bezos maybe like plus 105. And then you have Peyton Manning, who I think has clearly the capital, the football name, the interest.
Maybe the Mannings.
The Mannings, that's fine.
Package them together.
Perfect. I'll do that. The Manning family. And right below them, Tony Khan. Now he's with, he's there already, right, with Combat Sports.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be all elite wrestling, right? So it might be another transition, if you will, to a league that's not known to be the top league, but still you can grow it. If he's doing well growing the AEW.
Right. Would he turn it back into the original XFL?
I hope not.
So you got something going there.
Right. I'd rather it remain what it is.
If it was to be bought, I think the problem is You know, I mean, if you presented this model, Vince McMahon presented this model to Shark Tank, right? And that's what I'm going to picture is that they're all, you threw Mark Cuban in there. They're all sitting in their chairs and they're telling me, why should I buy this? You know, sell me on it. I just don't know if it's a good investment.
You need to be able to have your own built-in means of not even production, distribution. Like, okay. Oh, sorry. You know what? We completely overlooked this. Thanks to Mike Delaney on Twitch, twitch.tv/Shander Show. What was the fake story?
Oh, I wasn't going to tell you that.
All right, let's go back on that real quick, and then we'll give you.
Who said that? You said Michael?
Mike Delaney on Twitch.
Mike Delaney?
Yeah.
Mike, we know what we're doing with the show, Mike.
I have no idea what I'm doing.
I was going to save that to the very end of the show.
All right, real quick.
Or maybe tease it and hold it over
for
to
tomorrow. Right. This segment's going to be stricken from the record faster than we know.
So real quick, you had said
the Yankees hat. Correct.
The Yankee hat story was false, and that's what that was what you were gathering was your consensus.
Correct. On Twitch as well. Yes.
Too, was that it was the hat? No, that is in fact true.
Oh, I'm 0 for 3.
Yeah. You should go with your gut instinct. The fake story today was the wisecracking boiler.
There we go. See, now I'm going to start going with my gut more so. I needed a couple of days to figure you out. I needed you on tape to figure you out and study you as an opponent. Now I feel much better.
The other two stories, which are kind of morbid, are also true.
Well, yeah, the zoo was probably the worst of them all. Now that you have some sort of elephant.
It's actually a small zoo in Germany.
Oh, that's terrible. I thought Germany was doing well.
They are, but there's no one's going. So they're going to start offering some of their animals and feeding it to the other animals so they can keep their animals alive.
I guess that is a good sign that if you're down to caring about animals in a zoo, that it must be a good sign about society. All right, so the fake story there was not the Yankees hat like we all thought.
No, that in fact is true, and you can buy that. It's produced by New Era.
Unbelievable.
And that's why I left the name off of it too, because I figured that would probably get away. But it is a hat made from Aaron Judge jersey.
Unbelievable.
You can't even tell which number it is.
No, it's
because it's a hat.
Oh, that sounds so stupid.
And I bet you it'll be sold.
I bet you it'll be sold out. Like Big Baller Brand was sold out first for a moment.
Original price was $4.99, so you get it marked down for $374.99.
Pandemic price right there.
Yes.
Let me throw an entity out there. Not Mark Cuban, not Jeff Bezos, who are technically, I guess, Amazon and the departure from it, but it's Bezos' money now. Not the Manning family.
Man, you can pave that for the. I mean, what was it? What would the cost? The cost is it was $375 million.
Yeah.
God, Bezos has that on his wallet right now.
So here's the entity I'll throw out, and I got to credit Matt Lombardo for doing this, at Matt Lombardo NFL. What about Netflix? Netflix buys it and then produces it and then distributes it.
Wow.
That's what I thought too. That was my exact answer when I saw that was wow. I think Netflix actually makes the most sense. Yes.
Because before that you're going traditional.
Just an owner.
You're naming an owner.
Right.
Mark Cuban. He owns the Mavericks. He's had some success. He's built that team up. Won a championship. Why wouldn't he want to take on a new challenge? You bring Netflix into that. I mean, you can throw in, say, YouTube as well, because YouTube has been flirting with doing live TV. They
have YouTube TV. I get my TV. Yeah, they do. You're right.
So, I mean, that's another one out there. It's like these smaller. I'm not wanting to call them small because they're huge, but obviously, cable television or that's still the supreme.
Yeah, but think about what Ozark has done.
My God, yeah.
Or just anything. Yes, Netflix has normalized drama, comedies. Netflix has normalized it by creating their own.
I remember Netflix from the very beginning when I think Netflix was first introduced like in '96, and it was probably before your time. But when Netflix originally was.
A CD that you got in the mail. Come on, man.
It was a DVD that you would get in the mail. And as soon as you would put one in the queue, and they would send it to you, and as soon as you got that, you sent the other one back.
Yep.
I never bought into that because it was like, if I wanted to watch a movie, I had to wait 24 hours until I wanted to see it. And I was like, no, I can't wait that long. I'll just still go to Blockbuster.
That's right.
And then Netflix morphed into what it is today. And I can't imagine life without Netflix.
I'm telling you, that's the answer right there. Netflix buys it, and you have its own everything that they do on their own. Look, their production, the cast, everything. Ozark, that's theirs. All the other original products that they put out, I think it'd be perfect. Second level at Shander Show, at Ron Colbert, 2 N's on Twitter. Twitch.tv/Shander Show is how you can follow along the SB Nation Radio app and SBNationRadio.com. All right, the All-In Challenge. The one that stuck out to me the most was a Philadelphia one. And I guess Jeffrey Lurie, I have to thank Jeffrey Lurie, the owner of the Philadelphia Eagles, for this. Before you think, oh my God, this is a terrible idea, just look at how bad the Philadelphia Eagles offense was last year in the first half. It was a direct reflection of no planning or just poor planning, poor execution for whoever was out there. And granted, Carson Wentz was throwing to practice guys for a lot. But the offense was awful. It was stagnant. And sometimes it moved in reverse, if that's even possible. So what you can do is design and call a play at a Philadelphia Eagles preseason game. And I bet you money right now that if that play works, if this thing happens, which I have no belief or any reason to believe that it won't, it's probably going to work. And you'll probably see that play down the road to open up a game or to open up a drive. People are like, oh my God, right?
That's why you're going to spend money to do it.
Yeah, see, this is something I would do.
Play. Maybe it's on your name. Maybe it's called the Aton Long and Down or whatever.
Well, no, I would rip off the Super Bowl play and I'd call it the Shander Special. I wouldn't have the same exact play, but the name would be the Shander Special. So when Carson Wentz goes up to Doug Peterson in the middle of the timeout and says, you want Shander? Now that's going to be on NFL Films. Like Nick Foles asked, you want Philly? All right, that's a good. Now you had another Philadelphia one that I still don't see here.
Yeah, I saw it earlier. It is a double date with Julie and Zach Ertz.
All right, now you know you don't get to date Julie Ertz, right?
Oh no, I don't. Hey,
okay,
I'm a huge soccer fan. I would just love to just hang out with him as well.
I'm just letting you and others know, like this. You're not bidding to date Julie Ertz.
Yeah, this isn't wife swap.
No. Nor is it like a 2-on-1 scenario.
So, your wife might be looking at it going, oh, man, that's Zach. Yeah, it's not wife swap.
Not at all. All right. But there's more to it. It's not just the date, right?
Yeah, I think it's dinner and then, I know it's a double date. It's dinner and then taking a 76ers game with them. I can't find it anywhere either. I've never seen it earlier. I was like, yeah, that's the one I'm going to
Well, here's the thing. Going to a Philadelphia 76ers game at home is one of the best experiences in all of sports. They have this. There's a reason why they're incredible at home and they're terrible on the road. And it has to do with the fact that the crowd plays a huge role in it. So my problem on this is, am I going to have to wait until next year to go to that game, right? Because no fans are going to any basketball game anytime soon. And the Sixers are basically just going to start back up in the playoffs when the NBA returns.
Okay, here, I found it. It's under the auction. So the starting bid is at $5,000. Current bid right now is $8,250.
Okay, wow.
So it's already gone up.
Wow.
It's dinner at their favorite restaurant in Philadelphia.
Do you know which one that is?
No,
Look, if it's Del Frisco's or something, that you can go to in another city, then
I'm certain it's
not Pat's or Gino's cheese sticks. I can tell you that.
It's probably not their favorite restaurant.
Right, it's something
they're saying it's their favorite restaurant, and then it's you sit courtside with them.
That's not bad. They're a really cool couple. Both are very grounded and both are very personable as well. I actually think that would be, and you get to go to a Sixers game with them, and they're going to be stars up on the screen. You'll be on the screen.
And I believe if you're in the Philly area and you're shelling out all this money, you might just become best friends with them.
You might. Or at least for the day.
I know for a fact I could hang out with Zach, but I could definitely hang out with Julie because of the soccer connection.
Absolutely. And she won't snuff you. She won't just be like, get out of here.
She wouldn't do that. She would leave Zach.
Right. She would for you.
Exactly.
All right. Now, what do you think?
Yeah, right.
Real quick. Private skateboarding lesson with Tony Hawk.
That would be fun.
Yeah, but how long is that lesson going to last? You're out there for an hour. You're not going to learn anything.
For an hour. I know. How about this one? I like this one. The opening bid for this is $500. How much is it now? Because it's got to be way up there. Yeah, it's already at $4,200. You travel with the 49ers for an away game.
That's pretty cool. But again,
that's fun.
You have to wait for a lot of this to return. I'll tell you, the best one out there that I found from a pure comedy standpoint, like you could then go back and bid people to pay you to put a hidden camera on this thing. But it was an opening bid of $10,000. And if I had the money, I'd pay $500,000 for this. sit in draft war room with Allen Houston and the Knicks.
Yes.
Can you like the entertainment value of that alone is worth $500,000?
Do you think Spike Lee needs to bid on this immediately?
Oh, that's a great one there. I don't know. He would be the best candidate for this. He or Charles Oakley. All right. We'll wrap the show next year on the second level. Spike Lee would be great. Can you imagine that?
Yep.
Oh my God.
Tony brought up he would love to